Hey, boys and girls. Last week we talked about our new friend Janessa that came from Venus, and we talked about how she scared Nana. And at first I didn't think it was very funny, and then I thought, I'm just going to laugh about it because I think what she thought was going to be funny is pretty funny, because I think it's funny to do stuff like that too. You know, do you ever jump out of your closet with your brother or sister coming into the room, just jump out of the closet and just go blah like that, and then they just jump? Well, do they laugh or do they cry? Well, sometimes they cry, but you know what? I think if that happens to you, boys and girls, I want to just encourage you to just laugh, just see it from their perspective, which means think about it how they saw it, and you might think it's kind of funny too. Anyway, we had fun with Janessa and Mrs. Toad and Big Green Blob, and then they left and went home, and the grandkids and I and Papa just kept playing games. We had the most fun that day. And so then it came time for them to go home, and their moms and dads came to pick them up. And they were really sad. They wanted to stay. And so they said to their moms and dads, oh, please, can we just stay? We had so much fun playing with Nan and Pawpaw. And Mommy and Daddy heard all about Janessa and Big Green Blob and Mrs. Toad coming. And they just thought it sounded like we had had so much fun that, you know what? They all decided to have a sleepover. The moms and the dads and the grandkids all spent the night at Nan and Pawpaw's house, and we had a sleepover, and we had so much fun. We made cookies, and we played more games, and finally it got kind of late, and we decided to go to bed. And so we all went to our beds. Pawpaw blew up some big old air mattresses, and we got some sheets out to cover them, and they all laid down to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, we heard this scratching noise. Oh man, it was a really funny noise, like scratch, scratch, scratch. And I looked at Pawpaw because we'd already gone to bed. I said, Pawpaw, what is that scratching noise? And he says, shh, listen. And he started listening, and he's like, I don't know, but I hear it. I said, well, Pawpaw, we better check on it because all the kids are out there sleeping on the floor, and the moms and dads are in the bedrooms, and we don't want something to scare them. And so Pawpaw got up and he went out real quietly like, so that he wouldn't wake everybody up. And when he went out into the living room, there was like several of the grandkids on air mattresses, and we could hear them snoring real soft like, because they don't snore real loud like big people like that. And so Pawpaw was walking really softly around the air mattresses, listening for where that scratching noise was coming from. And then all of a sudden, Dean went bah at Pawpaw, and Pawpaw went wah. And Nana said, what's going on, Pawpaw? And all of a sudden, the whole house was awake. Every one of the kids were awake, and everybody was going, what's wrong, Pawpaw? What's wrong, Pawpaw? And Pawpaw said, well, Nana and I heard a scratching noise, and we didn't know what it was, and I came out to see what it was, and Dean scared me. He jumped at me like that, just bah. And so Nana just started cracking up. You know me. I just had a, that's hilarious, Dean. That was so funny. And so then Pawpaw was like, well, it was kind of funny, I'm sure, because I about jumped out of my skin. And I said, yeah, you did. Your eyes were big as saucers. And the rest of the grandkids were sitting up on their air mattresses, and the moms and dads were peeking out the doors of their bedrooms, and they were saying, well, what in the world was the scratching noise? And Pawpaw said, I don't know, but you know what? I think it was Griffin scratching on his air mattress. I think it was. And Griffin sat up and he said, nuh-uh, not me, Nana. It was not me. And I said, well, who was it, Griffin? And he said, I think it was Drew. And I said, Drew, was that you scratching on your air mattress? And he goes, no way, Nana, it wasn't me. And I said, well, who was it then? And then we looked at Luke, and Luke was grinning real funny like. And he said, it was me. I was scratching on my air mattress. I was trying to scare somebody. And I said, Luke, oh my word, you're so funny. And so we all just laughed and laughed because we knew it was nothing to be scared of, because it was just Luke making a funny noise trying to scare everybody. So anyway, the next morning I decided I was going to scare Luke. Yes, I was. So when he got up and he came and knocked on my bedroom door to see if I was awake yet, and I went to the door I didn't make a noise. I was really quiet. I got to the door and I turned the doorknob and I went "Bleh!" at Luke, and he jumped so high he almost hit his head on the ceiling. It was so funny, and he ran out of the hallway and started hollering, "Nana scared me! Nana scared me!" And then all of a sudden we heard a knock on the door, and I said, "Luke, go get the door, see who it is." And he said, "No way, Nana, I don't want to see who's at the door." And I said, "Oh, don't be scared. It's just going to probably be something fun." And so he tiptoed over to the door, and he opened the door a little bit. And, oh, man, you're not going to believe what it was. We're going to have to wait to find out next week. Come back, boys and girls. All right, bye-bye.